The attestation period is upon us, and I think, as everyone knows, it's a huge step up. Meaningful Use Stage 2 is from Meaningful Use Stage 1. Is the attestation requirements on the providers. So that's a step up, and there's a whole bunch of things now that the providers are required to do, as we know, from a meaningful use perspective. The ones that I hear most about in terms of people's greatest concerns are in three areas. One is clinical quality measures. They now have to do 9 measures, but some of the measures are getting more and more complex, and some people think of those as almost a whole different set of meaningful use, almost like meaningful use within meaningful use, because it's one requirement as you think about the 42 or 43 requirements, but then when you start to dig into it, you realize, oh, geez, it's not one requirement, it's like about 15 requirements underneath that. So that's one area that people get concerned about. The second is the information exchange requirements related to direct transport. So for transition of care, they are required to have 50% of the transition of care are electronic, and then 10% are direct, specifically direct compliant. That is, an area of concern. I don't think it's an area that ultimately will trip anyone up, but people are just getting very concerned because you have to figure out how you're going to do it, and there's a certain amount of mathematics involved in figuring out, how do I know that, how do I get 10% exactly, using the direct specification? Where is my vendor on that? Who is my HISP? All of those conversations, I think, are complex and somewhat confusing right now for providers, because this is sort of a standard that's come out of from the federal government, and the market, I would argue, wasn't quite ready to receive it, and so now you see the market infrastructure being built for it, but we don't know the various ways that's going to be delivered. So that's a challenge. Not one that I think is going to trip anyone up. The one that I think could trip up some people up is the third area of concern is the patient engagement ones. View, download, transmit, and all of the requirements related to 5% of view, download, transmit, the secure messaging requirements. Those are the ones I think people are getting people concerned, just because of the real cultural change that has to happen in order to get enough patients to be doing that. And frankly, now there's really a change, a fundamental change in terms of the meaningful use requirement, because now you have physicians being literally responsible for what a patient does in order for them to receive their meaningful use incentive. That's a complete, obviously a diametric sort of change in the way that meaningful use attestation works and the requirements there.